wedding planning podcast.
Have you ever walked into a wedding fair and felt like you are in the middle of a big, sparkly shopping centre?
Do you love the free cake samples but dread the awkward eye contact with the fifth photographer in a row?
And do you leave wedding fairs buzzing with ideas or with a bag full of flyers that you will never look at again? This week, we are talking wedding fairs. And they can be amazing, can't they, Keshira?
Yeah, I think they can. I think there's two sides to this. I really love doing them as a supplier because, firstly, it's so much nicer to meet people face to face and chat to them and actually get to know them, rather than sometimes you might not meet your couple for a year or something.
True.
So that side of it I love. I also love, as a supplier, being there, meeting other suppliers, networking, seeing what they're like, doing all of that. But as a couple, it is about that, meeting your suppliers face to face, having a good chat with them, getting a real feel for who they are, what their personality's like. Does it suit your vibes? Is it what you're looking for? But yeah, I'm quite a visual, tactile person.
You certainly are.
Yeah. So the idea of getting to
hands off me.
getting to see stuff, taste things, touch things. They're things, cakes, flowers, dresses, stationery. They're things that you can't always...
No, that doesn't come across in a picture or, if you're scrolling through something. So that tangible... kind of up close and personal.
You might love the style of an invitation, for example, but actually, and also stationery is definitely, in life in general, one of my one of my things. But getting to touch that paper, feel that card, know whether the colours, if we've got like seed paper, for example, what are the colours of the seeds? How does that look? Does it match what you were aesthetically thinking? So I think that's a really important reason that you should go to wedding fairs. Also, they're full of inspiration. So they can help you think of the things and see the things you like. But I think the best part is it helps you decide what you don't like.
I agree. I think that sort of process of elimination can be really, really useful. And sometimes I think you can go with an idea of, oh no, I like that. And then you see it. Again, that whole idea of seeing something that's really tangible, up close and personal. And you sort of go, oh, actually, I don't like that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate there are wedding fairs out there that create styled spaces. So they ask suppliers to come together. So they'll ask a florist, a stationer, I'm trying to think of other ones. They'll ask them to...
whatever.
Yeah, cakes, to create a table. So you can see what all of the suppliers' work looks like next to each other. I think that's really important.
It's like the IKEA rooms, isn't it?
Yeah. Go try it out.
IKEA for weddings.
I've never actually thought about that. That's exactly what it is.
But it is visually, and particularly for people like me. I'm not very good at putting things together. I need to, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And to have that, I think is really, really useful.
Yeah, and if you're looking at, say, your outfits, so suits, dresses, whatever your outfits are, you might have seen a shop or a supplier or a designer that you think, oh, I really love it. You might go and see their work and go, oh, that material's not quite what I thought it was.
It's a bit cheap.
Or the colour is a bit off. That isn't the colour that I thought. So from my point of view, wedding fairs can be amazing for you to go to, but there's probably a lot to bear in mind.
Well, and once you've sort of got your head around that and going to a wedding fair, I suppose your next question really is which fairs to go to, because they are all different, aren't they?
Yeah, there's lots of them. I will start with my favourite type of wedding fair,
which is
a local fair or a local showcase in a venue. They're my favourite because generally you will get suppliers that are local to your venue.
Yeah,
great.
bonus.
That's, sustainably that's great, but also most of those suppliers have worked in that venue, hence why they're there.
So they've already got that shorthand knowledge of the way the venue works, the team works.
Yeah.
It's a well-oiled machine.
And they're more intimate affairs. So you might turn up, and don't be put off if you turn up and you feel like, oh, there's actually only one or two other couples walking around. From my point of view, as a supplier, the less couples, the better, because I get to speak to them. Because some of the big ones, which will come on to the big ones, some of the big ones you can go to and they'll have 3,000 people through the door. actually, what are you getting from a supplier at that? Are you getting the chance to have a chat with them, tell them your story, talk about what you need? Or are you walking through, collecting a load of stuff, walking out and going, oh my
What
goodness.
the hell was that?
Yeah. So my favourite are the local venue wedding fairs. They're often called wedding showcases. And you don't have to feel like, it doesn't have to be your venue. You can go to any venue and look at their showcases. You can pick suppliers. You might find a florist in a venue that you like that's not your venue. That's fine. Just pick and choose. But I think local is really important. But my kind of joint favourite, I was going to say second, but I think it is actually joint, is the more niche kind of indie fairs.
Love them.
Yeah, I think it's all up to you. It's your style. So if you know that you're looking for something a little bit different, or what was there one this week I saw posted, some suppliers that we know, I think it was Miranda the Celebrant, posted about a gothic wedding.
Oh yes, I saw that. That was just amazing and looked fabulous.
Yeah, so a lot of their suppliers came from a more niche indie wedding fair.
Yeah.
And they met them there because they knew that was the style they were going for. And there are some really great ones. And there are some really much bigger ones, much more established wedding fairs that are niche or are like rock and roll focus or,
Sure.
you know, that style. So I think they're worth going to if your focus is alternative.
Yeah.
Then that's where you're going to find your suppliers.
We're not talking about sort of massively alternative necessarily.
No.
The Gothic one is a sort of fairly extreme example. But if you know you're not going to go down an uber traditional route and you just think, I'd like something where we can do it a little bit differently, I think the indie fairs and the more niche ones are just, I think, coming back to that idea of inspiration, I think they are worth their weight.
I think you'll find a lot more creativity in the room at a fair like that than you will at a large national. So that would be my vibe. And then I've kind of hinted at it. My least favourite would be the larger national fairs or just the larger, more corporate looking fairs. And you can really see them. You can spot them when you type in wedding fairs in West Sussex into Google. The first ones that come up will be the bigger, more national, more corporate looking. There'll be whites and greens and colours that you would associate with a traditional wedding. Now, there is nothing wrong with those. They are packed with suppliers. So if you want, and you're at the beginning and you're going, I don't know, I want to just grab as much information as possible, go for it. You will walk out of there with over 100 suppliers worth of information. So it's really good for that initial inspiration. Sometimes it's also, I find, it's a nice day out.
Well, I was going to say, I've got a lot of couples that go to those wedding fairs with their entire wedding party.
Yeah.
They're treating it as a jolly. You know, they're probably factoring in an overnight hotel stay somewhere. And I had one couple and their whole shtick was really, how many samples can we walk away
Yeah, and
with?
you will be full. You will have lots of freebies and you will get more freebies at a national wedding show than you would at a smaller one, but that doesn't mean that those suppliers are necessarily better.
Yeah.
It just means they've spent more money. So...
But I guess what you don't get, and again, this is just talking to my couples, you don't get necessarily that concentrated chat that you would get at a smaller one, because simply the footfall is too great that any supplier who's there is likely to be looking 7 different ways because there are so many different couples.
Yeah, and occasionally hiding behind their stand, because also if you're finding it overwhelming, it is also overwhelming for a supplier.
Genuinely, for me, I can't think of anything worse. But there you go.
and that's it. There's each one of these types of fairs has its place, and it depends on what it is you're looking for. And if you do want to run around quickly, you maybe are on a lower budget, it might be worth going to the national fairs, because a lot of the suppliers there will do a wedding fair deal or discount.
Or they'll have a bigger sort of price span for you to choose from.
You don't get that so much at the smaller venues because they're more niche and curated. So, yeah, I think there's reasons for all of them, but ideally match your style. Look at the fair. Does it feel like a couple of the suppliers they're advertising, do they feel like they fit you? Location, I think, is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can travel all around the country to go to wedding fairs, But actually what you want to probably book is people local to you, because you're probably never going to book a supplier that's that far away.
Well, I was going to say, in most cases, the cost would be prohibitive because you'll have to factor travel and all that caper in.
Accommodation,
Yeah,
feeding
sure.
them. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's reasons to go to all of them.
Then let's move on now to what to ask suppliers. And I know, talking to couples, they often draw a blank with that. They sort of get like rabbits trapped in the headlights, sort of going, don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
So what should we be asking our suppliers?
I mean, suppliers are human beings, so I just start with saying hello.
Let's strip it right back here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Because we are human beings, and actually, like I said a minute ago, it's overwhelming for a supplier as well as it might be for you.
Yeah.
And also, I would keep in mind that as a supplier, we're not there going, we're going to get 20 bookings today, we're going to sell. We're there to meet the right people as well, because we want to work with the right people.
Yes.
So I think when you start talking to suppliers, don't just take a leaflet, or you can if you don't feel they're quite right. But if you don't feel they're right, don't take a leaflet.
Absolutely. Let's not waste stuff here.
And if
marketing's expensive.
Yeah, it's also not very sustainable. But maybe it's just asking, what's your style? What do you do? Is a really good question.
Yeah.
What is it you do? And that works for me. That is a question I get asked all the time, because I think people try and understand, what does a wedding planner do?
For sure, same with the celebrant.
Yeah.
You know, I had one man say to me, I'm so sorry, but what are you for? Yeah. Like, okay, take a seat, my darling.
Yeah, so just asking them what their style is, what they do. And then if you want to get into the more logistical kind of key details, how far in advance do we need to get you booked? What does a package look like with you? And it might be the case a lot of suppliers can't tell you that right there and then, because they'll say, actually, do you want to leave your details with me and I'll arrange a free introductory call? And that's when they'll talk through what it is you really want. No one's trying to catch you out. No one's trying to grab your data to farm it to off all over the world.
Yeah.
We're trying to go, I do have packages. This might work for you. If you've got time to stand and have a really good 20-minute, half an hour conversation, you'll walk away knowing what you want. But if you haven't got that time, give your details over and book in those free calls, because that's when you're going to find out exactly what they want. So, yeah, you could ask them about whether they've worked at your venue.
Yes, of course. And again, that comes back to what we were talking about earlier. And there is an advantage in that. Yeah. There's not a disadvantage, I would say, equally.
No, I think you can, a good supplier can work across all venues, but it depends on how important it is to you, really, and how tricky your day is.
Yeah. Let's dig into that. And that thing about, if you're not really ready to book, that's all right, isn't it? You don't have to commit right there and then.
Like I said, no supplier is going to a wedding fair thinking they're going to walk out with 50 bookings on the day. You're going to a fair so people can understand more about what you do, get some information, and that's for you to go home, have a look, have a think. And I always say, when you get home, just think, did anyone stand out? Is there anyone you remember?
Yeah.
If you don't remember something about or someone, you've either done the big fair and taken too much information or they just went right.
Yeah. And I suppose, this is actually a question that came up from one of my couples who's doing a lot of, they are really embracing the whole fair shebang. What are the red flags? And I thought that was quite an interesting one. Is, what should I be mindful of if a supplier immediately starts trying to book me, for instance? I'm guessing that probably is a bit of a red flag.
I would say so, yeah.
But is there anything else that you can think of that you should perhaps be a little bit cautious about?
I think that's a tricky one, because I think, again, back to suppliers being humans, suppliers can also get really nervous being at a wedding fair, and maybe they don't know exactly how to put themselves across in the right way, but that is a personality as well. So I think watch out for jumping to conclusions, actually.
Okay.
I think it's the flip side of maybe suppliers generally aren't doing anything nasty at a fair. They're not trying to catch you out, but it's about what we've talked about before, about going away, and if you really like something, go and look them up, check their Google reviews, check that they've got a good social platform or a good website. Not all suppliers will have that yet though. So, some, if they're new to it, if they've told you they're new to it, brilliant. Yeah. That's really transparent. That's really honest. If they haven't said that and they're trying to sell something and you can't find them online, you can't find any reviews, that's what you want to watch out for. So I don't think you should ever be booking or paying for anything at a wedding fair.
Wildly Wed, the real wedding planning podcast.
But how do you as a couple avoid overwhelm at a wedding fair? And I would say the first thing is to go with a bit of a plan. Know which suppliers you might be looking for. Or if you're right at the beginning, go with the plan is, I just want to take it easy. Just chat to people in general. Just remember you're not going to finalise everything about your day.
Yes. So I suppose it's managing your own expectations a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to take your time.
Yeah.
And if something feels overwhelming, as you would in any other situation, just step out.
I think that's really valuable, actually. I know I did a fair last year, and it was interesting. When I found it a bit overwhelming, I stepped outside, and there were quite a few couples who had also stepped outside. So that's a good one. I suppose the other thing as well, take notes, take photos. Otherwise, you will find, as we said really at the beginning, all of those different suppliers will blur, they will merge. So take a notebook or, do Notes app on your phone or whatever and take photos. Most suppliers, in fact, all suppliers will probably welcome that.
Oh, totally. Someone wants to take a photo of my stand. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Hi. And I think don't feel embarrassed about taking notes either, because you're making a decision about where to spend your money. If you're looking for a washing machine, you're going to probably look across a few comparison sites, do a bit of digging. No. Okay, I'm going to do that. Or a car. You're going to make some form of notes as to make a comparison and make a decision. So that's the same with your wedding. Yeah. It's money you're spending. And it's not insignificant amounts of money. So take your notes. I'd say set yourself a time limit. Know what time you're going there, know how long you want to stay. You might end up staying there a bit longer, but you'll only end up staying there longer if you have really good conversation. So let yourself have those conversations if they're great. But if actually, we only want to do this for an hour or two, because they're always on weekends as well. So
true.
Maybe you just want your weekend to do other things as well. Set yourself that time limit, but also go with the intention that it's a fun day out. It's a fun thing to do. It's not a chore. It can be really fun to go along and hear the music and try the food and things like that.
Oh, yeah, you had me at food, really. And the other thing is tag team. Take a friend, take your partner, take a parent, and divide and conquer a bit.
Yeah.
I think that it's nice to go with somebody anyway to bounce ideas off, and
totally.
But people will see different things. I saw that over there, we ought to go and have a look at that.
Yeah.
That's a good plan. And also, really, if particularly you're going to do some of the big affairs, stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Wear comfy shoes. This is not a day for stilettos, for goodness sake. I know I bang on about comfy shoes a lot. That's because I'm an old nana.
What is a day for stilettos, Vicky?
When you're sitting down a lot is a day for stilettos.
Gotcha.
But seriously, things like, make sure if you're doing those big fairs, eat. Make sure you stay hydrated. Again, if you feel overwhelmed or you're just plain exhausted, stop and have a coffee or something.
Yeah, just step out of it.
Step out.
It's part of wedding planning should be fun. So wedding fairs should be fun.
Yes.
So if it's not feeling fun, just don't do it. Just step out, just go, have a break, and either come back to it or go, do you know what? Wedding fairs aren't for me.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done. I think that is really... Overwhelm's really prevalent in our industry, and as a couple there's probably a few pinch points along the way where you might start to think this is a bit much. Obviously as a wedding planner, that's what I try and take away from,
of course,
but I will try and help you with that. If you haven't got a planner, if you haven't got that person, then maybe it is that tag team, your family, your friends that can try and help you. But at the end of the day, take your time, and your health and your mental health is all so much more important than you tasting a bit of cake.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be a bit like being a kid on Christmas Eve when you're 5 and it's all just a bit too much.
Exactly. So we are at our tips stage of the episode. So we always do some tips. This time we are doing DIY tip, Vicky.
Okay, so we're looking at it through the lens of wedding fairs, and I would say create your own little toolkit just for wedding fairs. Now, by that I mean think about setting up a dedicated email address for inquiries. That just stops you getting spam.
Absolutely.
So do that in advance before you even start on the fair trail. We discussed it briefly, but a notebook or a phone notes app for those sort of quick impressions or, key details that you want to take, have that already in place. And I love a reusable tote bag.
Oh,
I do have many.
We do love We've actually got our own tote bags.
But that just means, when you're offered freebies or leaflets or, complimentary pens or cake samples that you don't want to eat right there and then, you've got somewhere to put all that stuff, as well as things like your bottle of water and your Nana shoes, if you're going to change them.
Your stilettos when you take them off.
Yeah, but just, something simple, but you've got all your bases covered. And that's what we like with a DIY tip.
Lovely. And as for sustainability, again, we've touched on it. Lots of fairs still hand out leaflets and lots of suppliers will have flyers and things, and you will often end up with a lot of them. If sustainability is a real priority for you, ask your suppliers that you're interested in if they can email you.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I don't want to take away a load
something physical.
Yeah, something physical. Can you send me a digital brochure? So you're not buried in paper. But also I'd say, like, when you get home and you've got that bag that you've been given full of leaflets, again, think back to who stood out and get rid of anything that didn't.
Into the recycling bin,
Into
though, because
your
this
recycling.
is a sustainability tip.
Exactly. And then our supplier top tip is actually from Nicola at Velvet Queen.
Yay.
So over to you, Nicola.
Hello, this is Nicola from Velvet Queen, and this is 5 of my top tips for when planning your wedding. Tip number 1, your dress doesn't have to be white or look a certain way. Wedding dresses have no rules. Tip number 2, heels are optional, comfort is key. Tip number 3, bridesmaids don't need to match. Tip number 4, tradition is overrated, make your own rules. And tip number 5, you don't need a huge budget to have a dream wedding. Choose what's important to you.
Thank you, Nicola. That was great. And next episode,
we're teeing up after the event. Because, of course, it's, we're talking today about all the build-up to, but what about afterwards? What about all those things like, reviews, pictures, photos, thank yous? We're going to be going through all that with a fine-tooth comb.
Cannot wait. And I think you probably know where to find us by now, but you can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Don't forget to rate, review, share, subscribe, all those fun things on your chosen podcast platform. You can also find us on Instagram at WildlyWedPod. See you next time.
Cheery bye.
Say I do to the Wildly Wed podcast. Follow us on Insta at WildlyWedPod.